Got the good stuff tonight.
Nice. That looks nice and frosty as well.
Yeah, I literally just took it out of the freezer. It's been in there for over a week. I'm ecstatic.
Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 472 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada, recorded July 13th, 2026.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
Excellent. That brings us to our favorite part of the show, What Are We Drinking? Where we talk about what we're drinking and something that we've done off of the Patriot Challenge. So, Pierre, what are you drinking?
I've got a little bit of 40 Creek and Pepsi, and then as displayed earlier, I've got a nice bottle of chilled Signal Hill to top that up. Patriot Challenge water because it's been hot as fuck out there.
Yeah.
And like on a job site, putting tracks back on that way more than I do, and all these things. Like, yeah, I just been drinking the waters. The podcast, Audible books, still a thing. Um, Stuff for being better prepared. We've been reanalyzing some preps. Looking at the weather we've had, crazy storms.
Ugh.
We didn't lose any power during that last crazy thing, but it got crazy hot. Where I'm just like, okay, my house is cool because I've got like the AC going. So like if that's not an option, without spending the 15-20 thousand dollars for a Generac right now, what can I do? Hey, people lost power for a few days, and it's like, oh, what am I doing with my freezer? And it's just like, okay, well, I've got a generator, this, that. So it's just like, let's prioritize what we need and this, that. And then, yeah, just trying to not be a complete douchebag. But, or I don't, are we live
Yeah.
on YouTube?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can't find the video.
No, we should
Oh,
be. It says that we are.
okay, there it is. All right. So for all we know, I'm just wrong, but I refreshed and everything was there. So yeah. All right. So, forget about that side tangent. What about you, Gavin? What about you?
I'm drinking a couple of cans of James Ready that I've got left over from the weekend. Um, so what I've done from a Patriot Challenge stuff, obviously, yeah, the water is still going strong. Definitely needed in this crazy heat. It's just been ridiculous. Still keeping up with my reading. I'm now reading Anatomy of a Cover-Up, the sequel to 22 Murders. Um, not as good so far. Like it's retelling a lot of the same stuff, but going into some more detail or some stuff that they've sort of found out after the first book was published and all of that. And so it's not bad, like it's still good information and it breaks things down and there's a lot of like what the fuck moments in it. Like, you know, well, and well, I think there's an article or two in here about that RCMP for this evening, but like there's a lot of that like wait, what?
Oh,
But
what?
just I don't know. I found the first book really well written, and not that this one is poorly written. It's just not as good, but it's still a lot of good information.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was good. Um, Other stuff that I've done. I was at the prepper meet this weekend in Shelburne, Ontario. That was a lot of fun. I got to hang out with the guys from the other CPP in person, and we did a live podcast where the panelists were there, and there was a live audience and an online audience as well, and that was fun. One lady kind of stormed off in a huff because she didn't like what we had to say.
Oh, fuck. Good thing I wasn't there.
Yeah, well, so it was. I mean, you should definitely go for people that are listening. Go listen to those guys in general, but this one was a good one. Although it did start off a little slow because we didn't have a topic planned.
No, because like you've got the
It's
crowd in
live, so
front of
we were,
you. That
yeah. So it was like,
yeah, and
well, ask questions. We have people here, ask questions.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it was kind of really slow. And then all of a sudden, someone was asking, like, so what do you think about data centers and all of this? And then it was like, okay, so here's the show basically, because how much time do you have? So it
yeah.
turned into this whole data centers and AI and all of this. And it was interesting because there was a guy that was like presenting remotely at the thing about how to use AI for preps. And like, I've
It's a
been
tool.
using it. Yeah, it's a tool and
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
fantastic. I've been using it to dial in my solar setup on my truck, which came in really handy because it worked a lot better this
This time
weekend
that
when we were
yeah,
going out than it went last time. And I used a lot less battery power and all, like, so it's been phenomenal for that.
yeah,
But also I get why people don't like it and everything else. And I
yeah.
think we've talked about it here before, but it's like it's Pandora's box, man. We have already opened up the AI box and we can't put the AI back in. We're
No,
gonna have to learn to live with it. And that's kind of what everyone said. Like it's a tool. We need to use it when we can, but also learn to shut it off or not use
no.
it when
Or
we
not
don't.
use it as a dependent
Yeah,
thing.
and
Like
same
it,
like
the
same with your
constant truth.
cell phone or any other digital thing. We need to know how to use them and
Yeah.
when not to. And I guess this lady didn't like that answer, and she kind of just like picked up her chair and walked off. Um, and there
Bro,
is the
I'm
usual
gonna
like
get I'm gonna get
weirdos.
hammered the next time I'm down there, right before the fucking podcast live. And when that happens, like I'm gonna harp. I'll just be like, no, no, you came to fucking join here. If you feel offended by something, like let's have an adult conversation about it. But you don't like the fact that people just like storm off because like you offended me. And I was like, fine if it's like a touchy subject, but like obviously this wasn't. It was just like, you know, utilize it for preps. What are your thoughts about it? What are your concerns about it?
Yeah,
Hey, I go to the store and I buy extra stuff. Like AI is there, right? Like they've got the cameras. Like, is it being registered on a database
yeah,
that like, hey, I am purchasing way more than what the average
yeah.
3-person family, buys. So like, there's
Yeah.
concerns on both
Oh yeah,
sides, but there's also using it as a tool where it's just like, okay, let's have that conversation. Like, is your job and your livelihood dependent on that? Okay,
yeah.
fine. Like, I'm not knocking you for it, but it's just like these are my points of views of issues of it or whatever. So like I am gonna save up so much money to be piss fucking drunk and hope someone stores off when I'm there because I will not let that fly. Like we are
Oh,
all adults.
it
And
was
from both
awesome.
points of views, the other CPP, this CPP, everybody has proven like let's all agree to disagree. You don't
Yeah.
get to just be mad
It
and
was good,
go
and
to
I'm
whatever.
glad to see
Like
that Canadian Prepper Podcast is watching this show. And yes, it was a lot of fun. It was great hanging out with you guys, seeing all of you guys, and that live show was the
yeah,
highlight of the weekend for me,
yeah,
and seeing all the weirdos. But
yeah.
there's definitely a few, and yes, I know I am one of them, but there's some other weirdos there. One thing
But
I
they
did
didn't look
forget
as
to
cool
do,
as you.
yeah, exactly. Um, one thing I did forget to do many, 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 many weeks ago now. I had a ride in a Lyft car, and John, my driver, him and I started talking politics, and he said he listened to podcasts, and I'm like, well, that's funny because I do one. So hopefully he started listening, and if you are listening, sorry it took me so long to give you a shout out, John, but it was great riding with you. Um,
That,
and
that's
I just
cool.
remembered. But yeah,
Um, Actually, one of the best things, locally in town, some guy put a post saying, "I love this shirt. I want one." You know, my wife being like,
yeah,
"Well, I can make one that's might not be the exact same for copyright
yeah,
infringements, but I can work something." And the guy's running for local mayor. I don't have Bookface, but like he's all on there talking
nice.
shit to all politicians, just being like, nah, like we need to fix this. Like I'm getting this, that, or whatever. And we went there, and Mel is way more sociable than I am, meeting new people. I try and not so much advertise of like, oh,
Yeah.
what do you do on your free time? I was like, well, I get pissed drunk on Mondays and, talk
Yeah.
shit about the government. It doesn't start off well. Um,
Yeah.
but the subject came up and he's like, oh, what are they? So I wrote both of them down. So, hopefully he listens. He's doing some good local stuff, talking a lot of smack about wanting to get involved at the mayor level because he's just like,
Yeah.
no, like, he's like, I'm a business owner. He's like, B, I'm paying taxes and all this stuff. And he's like, there's a lot of bullshit going on. And he's just like, nah, let's cap that. So it gives me hope. And like me and Mel have talked about it quite a bit, where it's just like, oh, that's nice to see it. And I was like, I agree. And I was just like, if for whatever reason I ever decided to go for anything politics, I was like, people just wouldn't agree with what I say because like I have quote unquote extremist views, even though it was still a
Yeah.
giant problem. But I'm like, I
Yeah.
also have no interest because of the headaches, the bullshit, and the bureaucracy and the puppet playing and everything. Where I'm just like, but he's like, he's willing to take a risk, put his business on the line and everything. So I'm like, I do want to keep a closer eye on it and
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
conversations with them and everything and all that. So there is it put a little bit of hope in politics for me, like
Yeah. Every
very
now and
little.
again, yeah, every now and
Yeah,
again there is a good politician, or at least not a bad politician.
or at least he started with good intentions.
Yeah.
I will
And
stand by that.
yeah. And it's, I think, segues excellent into our first topic here. Good politicians, bad politicians. So there was a NATO thing not too long ago, and the good politicians, the president of Turkey gifted all of the leaders a Turkish knockoff Colt Python as a
That's
gift.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's fucking badass.
yeah,
Like,
and like legally, he's hey, this
yeah,
is a gift. Thank you, whatever. Um,
yeah. He even like
it's
apparently
like
got like the laws changed and everything or whatever, like so that he could like gift them to people,
yeah.
like so there was no export problems or anything like that.
Mhm.
So
But
unfortunately,
but
there were
yeah,
some
but wait,
bad
it gets
politicians
worse.
there. One of the people that received one of these was Mark
Is
Carney.
yeah, which um, I mean, hey, you went there, it's a gift. Um,
Yeah,
quote unquote, him in a nutshell, because government doesn't understand legislation of guns, or we don't agree with the legislation we've been told, but it was a gift as a thank you from another country. The news article should not be that Carney said like, "Oh, here RCMP, dispose of it." What this article should be talking about is, hey, Mark Carney was thankful. When returning, got in touch with RCMP, unfortunately, because they're the ones responsible for the firearms thing, and RCMP should have figured out the best way without modifying or damaging the gun as much as possible, been able
yeah,
to deactivate it so that it's no longer considered quote unquote a firearm, so that it can be represented as a
yeah,
offering of two countries having an agreement and it be
yeah,
something along those lines compared to
yeah.
like,
It,
hey, I did a bunch of stuff to change the legislation of my country to give you this. And literally 4 days later, the news article says you were just like, oh, I gave it up because like, I can't, I shouldn't own a pistol. Like from Turkish point of view, like, thanks a lot, asshole. You know how much I had to do on my side to do something. You could have done a little bit of stuff. So,
yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. This is a fucking awesome gift, and like,
yeah.
gun manufacturing is a massive thing in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Some better than others. But
Yeah, it's a big thing. We didn't say it was a
yeah,
good big thing.
like it, just the way that it was handled, like they could have done something to this. Like they could have, yeah, been more delicate in their thing. And I get it. Like there's some laws that maybe the guy wasn't aware of for Canada and this and that and everything else. And like politically, it really looks bad if like Carney is seen receiving a pistol when like, there's no transfers of pistols allowed. But like they could easily have made some exceptions or like
Yeah.
deactivated it and then put it on display as a
Mhm.
thing to be like thank you
Yeah.
or like
Put
whatever, right?
put it
But
in a museum of some sort, or
yeah,
I don't
like,
know, somewhere, just being like, hey, look, we've made progress in this country and this is a gift. Like, yeah, there's a lot that could have been done compared to just like handing it over to the RCMP and it just now getting,
yeah,
crushed by a fucking excavator.
yeah. And like, I don't know, I'm looking at a picture of them right now and like, they're
They're
fucking
fucking
nice.
Yeah, they're fucking
Like,
nice.
and it's got
357
like
Magnum.
their name engraved on it and everything. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, no, like there was time and effort, they probably went
Yeah,
to a manufacturer of some sort and said like, "Hey, I would like something, can we make, change the whole process of you building these pistols so that I can, get 20, 30, 50, 100, doesn't matter." All that, they modified their laws so that they could, "Hey, we appreciate this. This is our thing. We can have a discussion about it, whether it's moral of a government giving another government a pistol, like, you know,
yeah.
put
I
all
don't know.
that aside. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool as shit. And he fucked it up.
yeah, yeah. But like, according to Global Affairs Canada,
Uh,
all official gifts are handled in accordance with applicable Canadian laws, security requirements, and government policies.
so, in a nutshell,
Yeah, and it's apparently
it's
been
18K.
deactivated, which means it can no longer fire live
Yeah,
ammunition. But it
that's
doesn't,
fine. I'm,
but
I'm,
where did it go now?
yeah,
Right? Like,
I'm
is he
okay.
keeping it on his desk as a deactivated thing, or like,
Like, yeah, as
or
long
did
as he
they
follows the
destroy
law.
it?
Yeah, as long as he
Like,
follows the law of it being a deactivated,
yeah,
firearm and all that, absolutely. If he's allowed to have it on his desk as a deactivated thing, like that should be something. He went to a
yeah,
summit and they had a conversation, and there were obviously quote unquote
yeah,
good talks. Um, it should be something that
yeah,
doesn't get forgotten, because now me being in Turkey and seeing this article, that would make me think a lot less of a country coming here and like, hey, we gifted you something and you just treated it as whatever and gave it away, and later like, yeah, we deactivated and like, oh, we can't have this, and it's just like, I wish it would have been handled with a little bit more care, or
I mean, I
thought
wish
process
that
behind
we
it.
lived in a real country and he was proud about the gift and was walking around
Yeah.
Parliament with it strapped to his hip or something, but we don't
Yeah,
live in
or
that
there's
kind of
like,
a
a
country.
bunch of
But
CBC, CTV
yeah,
people where he's like, he's on the property and he's just like fucking plinking with it. Like, yeah, something. Or it's just like, hey,
yeah,
thanks. This isn't a thing I thought I needed, but like, this is nice.
this is
And I'm
awesome. Yeah.
using it. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
but
using it in a
I
safe
agree
manner
with
and everything.
the problem and that this was a brilliant gift from the Turkish president because it just yeah, it showcases just how stupid some of these countries are and all of that. Like I thought it was brilliant on his part to do this, to be like, here's a gift, and in return, like Carney gave him fucking maple syrup. Like,
Yeah. Well, hopefully it
yeah,
not wasn't from those stolen barrels that were full of
yeah,
water. You know.
yeah,
But I mean, also, if you've got good maple syrup, like it should be shared.
yeah. But in the same genre of politicians and guns, that brings us to our next story.
Oh.
Former Manitoba MP Inky Mark charged with firearms trafficking after hundreds of weapons seized. An antique cannon and 300,000 in cash also found at former member of parliament's home, police say.
Okay, so the antique cannon is not firearms trafficking charges.
Hmm. I mean, the cannon, depending on the bore diameter, could be a prohibited thing, but technically he's
No,
still covered on the amnesty until 90
Yeah,
days
but
after the Supreme Court hearing, which we have a date now in November.
yeah, but also
So
doesn't the year of manufacturing of it come into effect as well?
yes and no. It depends on the type of antique. So for antique pistols, yes, they need to be manufactured before a certain date and in a caliber that is not considered readily available.
Well, last time I checked, I can't just go to Cabela's and order a cannonball
Yes, but that's
by
where,
bulk.
yes. So, but the year of manufacture is only relevant sometimes.
Yeah, so
But
it's like, okay, so the fact they just put anti-cannon, I'm like, eh, that
yeah,
one's the
well,
300 King cash.
yeah, they're just
Mm,
these are the
yeah,
things that they found. I mean, this is what happens when people get arrested. They like throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? Because that's why
yeah.
you'll get weird things where it's like improper storage, improper storage with ammunition, illegal ammunition, illegal like they just like a list of things and then they'll actually go through it and say, okay, no, this isn't actually true or whatever.
Yeah,
But
so
yes,
nine charges all related to one
yeah,
firearm, and only four of those are actually proper on the nine.
pretty
But
much
yeah,
is usually how that
yeah,
goes. But
yeah.
apparently, so this politician that was a federal politician had 439 firearms found inside of his house.
Okay,
So on
nice.
July 7th, the Mounties searched and that's what they found.
Yeah.
So yeah, along with the anti-cannon ammunition and more than 300,000 in currency. Apparently, at least three of the firearms found inside of his home were illegally trafficked. One had a
Okay,
tampered serial number, and hundreds were improperly stored. I mean,
okay. So,
to get that many
so
trigger locks is expensive.
well, so not even trigger locks. So the technically by law, the only ones that need trigger locks are prohibited.
Yeah, so he could have all this all in a locked room inside of his house, and technically that would have been legal. But
Yes. So, right. Unsafe storage. So I have giant issues with that because it is way too much up to the investigating officer or the police that walk in and just be like, well, I deem this isn't stored properly. And now you've got a giant court battle, which, hey, if he
yeah,
did something wrong, absolutely, he should be held accountable. But if anything, they are counting on a unsafe storage fire of a firearm, and any
well,
of
so
those are non-restricted. Like none of them require like a trigger lock.
yeah,
Magazine not loaded, legal. Kick it out. I don't
well,
care.
and so the
He's a
the article
politician.
is
Not
somewhat contradictory here because it says that
yeah.
most of them were stored improperly. But then as you go down to the next thing, it says he was charged with a dozen weapons-related offenses, including firearms trafficking,
Yeah.
possession of a firearm with a tampered serial number, 3 counts of unsafe firearm storage, 2 counts of careless use of a firearm, and 2 counts of possession of a prohibited device.
Okay. So
With
uh
439 or whatever that number was,
yeah, it's right.
and
He's got six
three of
guns
them
that
were
are
three of them were not stored properly. Like, come on.
yeah, exactly
Like,
right. So like right so they cat caught you at the beginning,
yeah,
right? Like, oh my god, look how much you had. But like so unsafe storage firearm, okay, I want more details on that. Countless care of a firearm or countless care or careless
yeah,
use of a firearm, sorry. Okay, I need more details on that. Um
yeah,
because that involves me pointing it to someone, discharging it somewhere, all these things. So if they're just in a room, it's not careless use. Um, Prohibited device, again, need more clarification. Um, Serial numbers tampered, yeah, absolutely get that info out because you and me would have a way different news article about some extremist with ghost guns compared to a politician. So, as much as they're doing something for this news article, I do want way more details. And like we had just mentioned, there's like 8 guns out of the 438 that, are being quote unquote questioned or charges being laid. Yeah, give me details. And if he was law abiding, that's one of the best politicians we ever have. Um,
Yeah.
because he's a gun owner. He had over 400 guns in his house, and you couldn't make anything stick to him,
Oh, I'm looking at it.
legally.
There's a picture of this cannon here. It's like a legit cannon, like with the fucking wooden frame and the big wheels and like
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's yeah, yeah. Like and like it looks like it's stored
Yeah.
in his basement. Like maybe
Yeah.
his garage. Like okay, so that's wood, the
Yeah.
wall is wood. It's probably in his garage, but I'm like I don't think that's like an OG wheel and paint for everything. But like,
Yeah.
if like absolutely 6 hour, he's got a bunch of pistols, you keep scrolling
Yeah.
down, he's got hundreds
Yeah.
and hundreds of guns. And I'm like, I don't like how that is. I would like it more organized, but at 438, you know,
Yeah.
guns in your house,
That's
like
my problem with it is it's not organized, but with that many,
yeah,
yeah, like that's
like yeah, you need a lot. But I'm like, if everything there is stored within
yeah.
legislation, I I can pick apart about, how two pistols are leaning opposite ways and like, it fucks with the feng shui. But if it's legal and I
Yeah.
just don't like his 100% storage of it, like, yeah, have at her.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, all of this sounds kind of funny though, because the reason they
yeah,
went to this guy's house is because somebody else that lives nearby was found in possession of some guns that apparently were stolen from the US, and somehow that led to a warrant to search his house. It all sounds kind of fishy because a lot of this is like, well, none of these charges would have been laid against him if they didn't search his house because they would never have known. And to me, like if you are in like peaceful possession of all of these things, like are you really committing a crime? Like not that you shouldn't, store your firearms properly for safety, especially if you have like kids and things like that in the home. That is the smart thing to do and you should do that.
yeah.
But
But,
like really
but
if he doesn't
also,
have a trigger lock on some fucking rifle, out of all of like 439 of them and 436 of them were trigger locked and 3 of them were not. Like, is he really committing a crime? Like, yes, on paper he is, but like,
but
is he?
right, but like Chris said, like okay, but also was he in the process of like
Yeah,
439? If you want to keep it whatever, you're gonna clean more than one gun a year. Just look at him once a year. So like,
yeah,
was it part of his like, nightly routine of like, hey, I'm gonna clean 20 guns tonight, and it's like before I go to bed, I do this. And
yeah,
they kick
yeah,
the door in prior to him going to bed and doing something.
yeah,
Um, so like there's lots of questions. It's kind of a clickbait, in my opinion. The news article, and then when you kind of start reading it, and you realize, and you see some pictures, and you're like, okay, but like what you're actually being charged with, and you saying you found, what was it, 438? Was it 438? I have a feeling it is.
yeah.
Okay,
But
fuck,
like,
I did something, but yeah. So clickbait,
oh,
oh my
yeah,
God, look, like, but reading it, so I'm hopeful that in the next week or next few weeks we get a little bit more detail on everything here and get like an actual
yeah,
breakdown of, hey, he didn't break the law, 99.9% of the time, and none of them involved, causing bodily harm or uh not even potential harm, but whatever the fuck it's called, of like putting someone in danger, just
yeah,
something. So, but yeah, there's lots of questions, the ones that are not, from Canada, I have lots of questions about. So we should
yeah,
really dig into that.
yeah,
But the rest of them, I suspect are,
yeah.
you know,
I think this is, yeah.
catfished.
Well, continuing on with the guns topic, there was another shooting in Toronto. I'm
Oh,
not sure
that place?
how, because
Yeah.
guns have been banned So
Yep.
these things shouldn't happen. Not
Well,
to make light of it, but
at
that's what we do on the show. But
yeah, but
yeah,
at least the type of guns used have been banned.
yeah. So apparently, the latest information, Toronto police have identified the two men that have been killed in the shooting at the Salsa on St. Clair Festival over the weekend. Apparently, they were targeted and known to each other, which is not shocking at all, really. It is incredibly rare that
You
somebody
s-
just goes and shoots people, like a crowd of people, for no reason whatsoever.
you said festival, and everything made sense.
Yeah. So it's the Salsa on St. Clair Festival. So like one of the street festivals that's going on in the city. And there's a bunch of them that happen like every weekend, especially in the summer.
Yep.
And so unfortunately, there are two people that were shot at and died as a result of it. But like, people come up and they like fire into the crowd, but they are trying to hit these two guys. And they did, but they
Yep.
also hit some bystanders and everything else. But like this is what unfortunately is what happens, is that like people that are involved in some way in a bad thing or with
Yep.
bad people get targeted, and it's the innocent bystanders that suffer as a result of this. It's very rare that someone will just like fire indiscriminately into a crowd for the sake of it. Not that it's
Yes.
never happened, because that was the Danforth, that was, the Polytechnic and everything else, where there wasn't a particular person they were after. It was just indiscriminate into the crowd. But this was a targeted attack, and five bystanders were struck and taken to the hospital with non-life threatening injuries.
Yeah.
So
So,
unfortunately, no arrests have been made.
well, but they've identified. Yeah. They've identified the dead people. Yeah, no
Yeah,
shit.
but no one else and no information has been given out, but they have found two firearms at the scene.
So maybe we should track those serial numbers to the registry.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have a feeling though.
you know,
Yeah,
either that or someone's grandma that her husband passed away 3 years ago and there's a gun safe in the basement and she can't do stairs and someone figured out how to break into the house without causing something that would do whatever for, the mom to figure it out because that's 90% of all gun trafficking in Canada is situations like that where, you know, guns switch between possessions or mom and dad, you know, grandma or grandpa dies and the other person doesn't know everything and someone finds, some kind of pistol in a gun safe and the other person doesn't even know there's a gun safe in the basement. Um so maybe it's going to be related to that, which is unfortunate. That should be something we work on to get a lot better at to prevent, this. But if they didn't come from those scenarios, maybe we should talk to CBSA and figure out how those got across the border. Because
yeah,
how much do we pay for CBSA?
yeah, yeah. Sounds like, yeah, a bunch of groups of people were shooting at one another, and unfortunately, some bystanders got hit. One good thing that has come out of this, though, well, maybe good isn't the thing, but the Toronto police chief got up and did his presentation, and in his presentation, he flat out says the quiet part out loud, where he's saying that like legal gun owners, registered gun owners, these are not the people, these are not the problem. They never have been the problem. They never will be the problem. So that is a good thing. And
That
even,
was that was nice to hear.
yeah, and even like Olivia Chow doesn't quite say that, but like
Beats around the
questions
bush a bit.
questions Gary the Chipmunk about what he as public safety is going to do to actually stop the flow of illegal guns coming into the country, because she didn't quite paint the picture that the police chief did, but kind of alludes to it with the
But
like,
she gave a really good
right,
draft Pictionary that you
yeah,
could
of
probably guess it.
saying that like illegal guns are the problem, not anything else. How are we going to stop the illegal guns from coming into the city? Because that's the problem.
Yes.
So,
Or just I I don't know. I started a side tangent, but I don't know if it's gonna be good for me to say it online live. We can talk after if you want to
uh,
remind me of it. But like they do have a stats thing of like victims of
yeah,
firearm related intimate partners violence by gender and age. So the fact
well,
that they only have stats for two genders makes me question a lot about the CBC. Um,
well, that's the
but
next article is that one, and we'll get into some of that because there's some interesting things that are coming from some of these stats. But yes,
yeah, um, yeah, 2010 to 2014, 2015 to 2019,
yeah,
20 to 24, at least on the one we're talking about right now, not the next one. 12 to 17, 18 to 24, 25 to
yeah,
54, and then 55 and older, women and girls, men and
yeah,
boys. Um, yeah, I mean, so we should have more of a talk about um lots of stuff against women compared to boys. So
yeah.
women against men.
But
Maybe we should have a talk about, raising better men.
oh,
And
100%.
and a lot of people have controversy on this, but also raising better women.
Yes, we should raise
Because
better people in general.
yes, right? Because if you want men to be at a certain standard, women need to be at a certain standard.
Yeah.
Like, right? Let's have a discussion about what I mean and what you interpreted that as. But right, a subset of standards of like, women should not be able to hit their husband and their husband not be able to hit back and all that, right? Like we're going extreme there, but like
Yeah.
I'm all up for that type of discussion if anybody agrees that ever listens to this or it gets read at my trial. I
Yeah.
am hopeful that I get a few minutes to explain, but like, you know, um we have changed the standard for a certain gender and we've moved that standard down, I should say, and we've moved another gender at a higher standard of opposite gender of the initial one I was talking about of being able to say, do, and react to something where the other gender, should just be like, oh, but you're, quote unquote, a guy, you know?
Yeah.
So let's have a conversation about making an equal playing field of, hey, let's just do better at raising better boys, men, and let's do better at raising girls and women. Of, yes, as you said, let's just raise better people.
Yeah.
So
Because then they're
until
not
that
gonna.
happens, fuck these stats.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
also,
fuck.
if we raise better people, then they won't
Yeah,
be
yeah,
shooting. They won't be shooting at one another,
yeah.
whether they're men,
So
women, or whatever,
a
at a
hundred
street
percent.
festival. But I mean, I do want to get into some of this a little bit here on the intimate partner violence rising
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think the releasing of this article and the statistics by Stats Canada thing is done intentionally with
Hmm.
the gun bans and the Supreme Court challenge
Yeah,
and everything else going on. And
which was
so,
why I went on that quick side
yeah, yeah,
tangent
yeah.
because I saw
But
those statistics in there and I was just like, yeah, no, I was like, I have issues with that because I was like, you don't get the three parts of the story. I was like, you get one
well,
person,
and
the other
that's
person's side, and then you get the truth, which is somewhere in between the two.
well, but
So
this is where like the stats should tell that
yeah, but I
because
never trust the
statistics
stats.
don't the statistics shouldn't lie as long as the numbers are true, you draw your own conclusions from it. But this is
Yes.
where I think that like and I'm going to name names here, Tara
Okay.
Carmen of the CBC. I
Yep.
think that you are being somewhat misleading in the way that you are presenting these stats. Now,
Yep.
we can't necessarily deny that the firearms related intimate partner violence is 5 times more likely to be lethal, but it is still not the number one. I mean, like, yes, firearms are good at doing the thing that they do. They,
Yes. They, they are one of the most effective ways
yes.
of
And
doing the thing we don't want to talk about.
yeah,
They are
so
one of the most
if
effective.
I punch someone,
Hands done.
they are unlikely to die.
Yes.
If I kick them, they are unlikely to die. If I stab them, there is a higher chance of them
Yeah,
dying
right.
depending on where I stab them. And then if I shoot them, again, there is
Depending where you, yeah,
a five
depending,
times higher chance that it will be lethal. So,
yeah,
like, that is not untrue, but the way that it's being
but it's misleading.
presented is like,
Yeah.
it's just like, the instances of dying in a plane crash are higher than dying in a car crash. Okay. Yeah. Except that,
But
like, what are the odds of a plane crash versus a car crash, right? Like,
amount
there's
per
no
volume of
minor, there's
planes.
almost never any minor plane accidents. It's always like a tragic thing because the plane falls out of the fucking sky and there's several hundred people on it that all fucking die. So,
Yeah,
like,
and how many flights per day? You know, how many
yeah,
flights are in the air
yeah,
every minute of the
but
day
it's
compared to every vehicle
stats are
moving
true,
on a
but it's how
road?
you present the stats that is
Yeah,
causing a problem here.
right.
So,
And how many of the planes are just up there to put
yeah,
chemtrails compared to having passengers, right? You got to take
yeah.
that out of the
I mean,
equation.
that chemtrail stuff is super flammable, right? So it just like explodes on impact. So,
Mm.
yes, apparently the average annual rate of intimate partner violence involving a firearm has gone up 58% between 2020 and 2024 than the period of 2010 and 2014.
And
The problem is
2015 to 2019.
where there's, you know, an 85% were women and girls aged 12 and over. Okay, that's not a good thing.
Uh, okay, hold on. So let's look at this chart.
But
Um,
the
so
part that I have issues with here, though, is later in the article, it gets
that
into
might
this a little bit.
that might be
And
the one I'm looking at then. Okay, go on.
no, no, no. I'm just finding where is it? More common rural. So apparently, handguns have overtaken rifles or shotguns as the type of firearm commonly used. But
Well, good.
here's the problem, though. Majority of accused had prior contact with the police. So two-thirds of the 923 people accused in incidents involving firearm intimate partner in 24 had been accused of a criminal offense in the previous 6 years. And it gets into this here, where it's a quarter of the 107 gun-related intimate partner homicides between 2019 and 24 were committed by licensed gun owners in legal possession. So 25%, which
Okay,
means that 75% of these
is gooder.
incidents are people that are in illegal possession of a firearm. So
Okay. So,
they're like it's buried at the very bottom of the article to make it look that like
mhm.
gun owners are the problem.
so
And like
so
this
so it's like
25% of them that are legal gun owners, I don't care whether you're male, I don't care whether you're a female. If you
or
hit your partner
or a
or
thing.
threaten them with a firearm or a knife or whatever, you are scum.
Hmm.
You do
But
not deserve those things. You should not have those things, and you make us all look bad, and you should be severely punished for it. But
but
75% of those people are not in legal possession.
yeah, and also I have a giant issue with the way that the database goes and reporting of things that
Yes.
whether me and Mel, you and Angela get into an argument where a neighbor calls the cops and this, that, and a firearm was not used in any relation. You're just having an argument because you had a shit day, she had a shit day, and the dog got on both your nerves, right? Like it happens, right? But the way the stats work for this is if someone shows up and there are firearms present on the scene, whether those firearms were used in
Yes.
the quote unquote um, complaint, they can fall under these stats. Why? Because you're a legal gun owner and everything, none of it was used. You didn't load a shotgun, prohibited,
Well,
restricted, like you name the gun. You did not touch one of them. But there was a complaint, whether it was your significant other, the neighbor, it doesn't matter, right? The cops somehow end up at your door for something because you're having an argument, a disagreement, however you want to consider it. And the cops decide to look around because whatever, and they find a gun safe, and all of a sudden, now you may or may not be part of these stats, even though none of it was used in the quote unquote commission of the crime, which, I mean, what I just described is not commission of a crime, but that's how it is portrayed
yeah.
in these stats, right? And so before the other stats of what you were talking about, so current spouse or common law partner, 2010 to 2014, the stats were at 48%. Then they went down to 40, and then they went down to 32.
Yeah.
So then they have stats for former spouse or common law partner. So you broke up, 17, 14, 13. And then somehow it switches to current, 16, 21, 24. And then somehow former comes back
Well, so they're
and
breaking it up.
escalates.
They're breaking it up here. So
Yeah. Like,
versus they're making a distinction between married or common law and just dating. So it seems that
okay.
those that
Yeah,
are like,
that makes sense. So common law is
so
1 year?
seems that if you are like in a common, like an actual committed common law or married relationship, there's less chance of intimate partner violence. That's how I'm reading this. As time has gone on, people that are in current actual committed, like live together as a family type relationships, that goes down.
Yeah. And
For
uh,
people that are not and are just dating, right, and are not necessarily being super committed, that increases whether it is a current dating partner or a former dating partner. Those things are on the rise.
so former spouse or common law. So the legal requirement for common law is one
Yeah.
year, at least in Ontario. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I think
And
it's
living
mostly
together, though.
yes. So same address.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the same name on a lease, but you can
No,
date someone for 3 years, and you still live at your parents, and she still lives at your
yeah,
parents. Technically,
that is
by
not
law, you are not common law.
common law.
You
No,
are
you need to
still
be
you
living
fall under
together. Yeah.
yeah
They
one
would be
year
in the current dating partner is what
no
that would
or
be.
former because
Well,
if
no,
you've
that's
never
only if
been
you'd broken up.
yeah but if you
But yeah,
broke
oh
up
yes,
with
if you
someone but
yeah, then it would
you
be
were dating
former dating
someone
partner. It
yeah
never
so you
became
were
common
dating
law.
yeah
Yeah.
you were dating someone for 4 years but you never moved in, you would be a former dating. You'd never be formal spouse or common law if you never. And I think that criteria of common law, at least in Ontario, falls
Yeah.
apart the second you have a child together. Then, by definition of law, you become common law if you reside at the same place, or at least it
Yeah.
does for certain subsidized,
Yeah. But I
cases
mean
that
there's a
taxes pay
like I
for.
said, there's a
But
lot of
gray
interesting things,
area,
some of these stats and the way that some of them are being presented, while
is just untruthful.
while the numbers are true, the way they're being presented is misleading.
This. Well,
So like,
it may not be, but I'm just saying. I was like, there's a lot of
well,
gray area where I'm like, I need clarification on what you mean by
but I mean
current
the
dating
biggest one
partner
here is that
and
like
former.
75% of the
Mm-hmm.
people that commit crime also commit other crime. Shocking.
Yeah.
Whoever would have guessed that somebody who is violent also has an illegal handgun or rifle or shotgun to potentially also commit other violent crimes because other,
Yeah,
well, why would you have one?
but we have red flag laws.
Yeah, which only work for people that
Current
legally
gun owner.
have
Yeah.
guns. Much
And
like the buyback is like, it's for your protection and to get guns off of the street. Okay, so if I'm a gangbanger and I have an illegal gun, how is it getting that off the street?
yeah, it's not, right?
Yeah,
Because I mean,
you ask
so
that question and then there's crickets, right? Like this just like
yeah, so like um so not in get into too many details in case someone has figured out where I live, but there's a place that we order stuff from that has showed up to drop off at our backyard, and they're legal gun owners. They didn't. They moved to this province compared to a province that they probably shouldn't have moved out of. And last time they were here, Mel and her were chit chatting, and they said they were like, "Hey, we have given up some stuff to the government because the business I'm in, if I don't do this, may hamper my living, right? Not just me wanting to be that guy, but they were like, this is how I make income. So I'm like, I don't knock on you for that. But also, I'm like, I have a little bit of an issue because I'm like, well, legally, because of the extension of the amnesties, I was like, you could have held on to it. So it's like, I don't knock you 100% because it wasn't a
yeah,
gun business, right? It wasn't one of the ones that were just like, hey, you froze
yeah,
$2 million in assets, 6 years ago, and I can't
yeah,
get that money another way, right? I'm like, you're just sitting on $1,000 worth of product. And I'm like, whether you give it up or don't, I was like, it's just lost. So I'm like, but I'm like, okay, but I found this out after the conversation. I was like, yeah, but I was like, legally, they could have held on to it until at least finding out the
yeah,
extension, the amnesty has been extended, this, that. But I also don't want to hold it against them where I'm just like, hey, you did what you think you had it to do because I'm like, at that point, you were
yeah,
fucking with your livelihood, right? It's not, I, I want to be this, I want to be that. I was like, your business 100% needs to have a certain level of clearance. No bullshit with the government where I'm just like, you holding on to something, they're just like, hey, I know you have. You don't want that to affect with it. I was like, I 100% understand and whatever. But I'm like, if only you would have done a little bit more research, you would have been fine for another few months or
yeah,
years. Like you could have given it up, and I'm like, now you can't get it back, but technically you could have kept it until you can't buy parts or you passed away or you can't give it away to your grandchildren, this that. And I'm just like, and it's that thing where I'm just like, fuck, I want to have more conversations with people to give them this information, but also I have met most people,
yeah,
and that's the
yeah.
dilemma I'm in of like, fuck, but yeah, so hopefully, we can
Yeah.
move that forward and hopefully more people have conversations with people and yeah.
Well, yeah. Violence against your partner, whether they're man or women or whatever your man or
Or they.
women is wrong and you shouldn't do it. And if you do,
Yeah.
you should be severely punished for it. But yeah, don't be a dink.
Hmm.
Just like this guy here. City official is extremely sorry for impact of surprise fireworks. So apparently
Oh.
on July 9th, there was a display of unused Canada Day fireworks that was kept secret to avoid crowding, officials have said. So,
Because they canceled Canada Day in
yeah,
Ottawa because there were some crazy fucking storms going on. And they
yeah,
literally said like fireworks are not happening. happening at
Go the
like
fuck home.
nine,
Yeah.
yeah, at 9 or 8, whatever the time was. So I'm like, well, the city had probably already bought them, and instead of like keeping it till next year and like using tax dollars for whatever, 9 days later they're like, hey, let's do some shit with it because, well, here we are. Let's go through this article now.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny though, because it's like apparently the Ottawa's general manager of emergency and protective services, which is a weird title for what he's doing, but says he's extremely sorry about a decision to set off unused Canada Day fireworks 8 days after and with no public notice. So why is the manager of emergency and protective services the guy that makes the decision on whether fireworks get let off or not, and not somebody else? That seems like a weird.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling it should be a guy with probably the license
And
to fire
also
off
there, yeah. Or
those.
like some other city official that gets to decide, like maybe they consult this guy for something, input or whatever, but like
Yeah.
also the surprise fireworks show over LeBrenton Flats lasted from about 10:55 p.m. until 11:05 p.m.
Okay, so 10 minutes. That's an
But
okay show.
also it's like
But yeah, go on.
all like 11 o'clock at night and fireworks are going off without anyone knowing.
But okay, so Blues Fest was going on.
Yes.
So if you've never been to Blues Fest, Blues Fest
Yeah, yeah,
is an
yeah. It's a
outdoor concert,
big concert. Yeah.
huge concert where
Yeah.
everybody that lives literally right beside where Blues Fest happens
Yeah.
complains every goddamn fucking night, every fucking year, being like, "There's loud music at 11 o'clock at night," and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because we have concerts going till midnight. And it's like
Well,
you chose to
the
move
concert would have
somewhere.
to end at 11 because 11 p.m. is a noise curfew. So the fireworks
Yeah,
that the city let off continued past their own curfew.
yeah, it's up for debate about it actually ending at 11. I've
But
been to
yeah,
many blues fests,
oh,
but
some of them don't, but the performers will get fined. It's the same in Toronto.
mm.
Like 11 o'clock is the cutoff.
So I went to like Guns N' Roses years ago. Like
Yeah,
we're talking before me and Mel were even dating, and we've been together 15 years. So we're talking like 18 years ago, where Axl Rose didn't come on stage before 11 o'clock. And the thing was, before all his tours, he would pay every fucking
yeah,
fine in cash before whatever. It costs $10,000 to come on stage and pass that noise curfew. It didn't take away from the band, this, that. It came out of Axl
yeah,
Rose's pocket. Well, at least that's what they tell everybody. But yeah, I mean,
yeah. But it's just
I
like,
I also have giant issues with people that live around LeBreton Flats because they're complete douchebags for
that's
every
fair.
year something
That's
going
fair.
on that
But
they
like,
signed up to be around
it's
there.
just, but it is just weird. Like, the
Yeah,
city has
it's
rules. The city did a thing, ignoring their rules. And I get it, and I agree that like it is safer to just light off the fireworks than like move them and store them and all that because like they are explosives and they need to be
so,
stored properly. And like the city doesn't necessarily have the storage facilities to do that. But
so
fucking
uh,
tell people, hey, the Canada Day fireworks, yeah, right at the end of Blues Fest, we're gonna fucking light them off.
so
Or hey, Blues Fest, do you want us to give you these fireworks for free?
right, but also I'm against them apologizing and just paying their fine for the noise violation.
Well, yeah, they should do that.
Like,
Like, I don't know, like
yeah,
the city would
I,
just pay the city so it becomes a wash, but like
yeah, but
they could at
at
least
the
do the dog
at,
and pony show of them
yeah,
cutting the
at
check
the
and
end of
paying
the
it. Yeah.
day, like, yeah, at the end of the day, if it costs, let's say, $5,000 for the noise violation, and they're like, hey, it's gonna cost $9,000 for us to store these fireworks, and it's a 50-50
Yeah.
if they're gonna be good by next year. Let's save the 4,000. and just like, hopefully
Yeah.
pawn it off on Blues Fest, which is a douchebag move. But they could do all these things, and like
Yeah.
everybody just complaining. There was like, hey, we're sorry about that. We figured out who's responsible, and the fine has been paid. Everybody would have been good with it. Nobody would have questioned whether it was the city of Ottawa or fucking you and me getting drunk on the first night of Booze Fest and
Yeah.
popping whatever off, right? So, um, yeah, don't apologize. Pay your own fine, which hopefully doesn't come with higher
Yeah.
tax brackets for Ottawa. But
Yeah.
because that's
It's
the
just
thing,
funny,
right? Like, if
Like,
I break the law and I break the noise violation 5 minutes after whatever, I don't have to make a public apology. I just get a fine.
yeah.
So why do they have to publicly do whatever? Just
Well, I don't think they have to. They just did because they're trying to like be like, hey,
yeah,
sorry guys, like, yeah, that fireworks show, that was us. And
yeah.
like,
But if they wouldn't have said that, that's what I'm getting at. If
I
they
know.
wouldn't have said that, they would have gotten away with it.
Yeah. Wow,
Like,
people still would have complained, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Complain all you want and be like, we will fine them.
Yeah.
And they could have not paid the fine. They could have just shut their
Yeah.
mouth and said whatever because government's shitty.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a strange article. I just
yeah,
found it
it's
funny.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another one here though, I this one's not funny. I've included this because of the whole you know,
Yeah,
trust your medical professionals and all of that, right? Because
yeah.
they know best.
This one makes me want to question my next dentist
So
appointment.
yeah, over 800 patients of Brantford, Ontario clinic reminded to get HIV hepatitis test after dentist resigns. So Dr. George Chan Dentistry cited for sterilization lapses, screening for patients.
Yeah, which I mean, there's two parts to this. Um, if I unknowingly know I have HIV or hepatitis because there are certain
Yeah,
symptoms assigned to it, and as we all know,
yeah,
some
yeah.
people don't show things. Okay, fine. That's not on me. That's not on, well,
You
quote
can't
unquote, that's on them.
you can't
Like,
fault someone that truly doesn't know
yeah,
something for
right.
things.
So
Yes, 100%.
if 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 my dentist says, "Hey, do you have HIV?" and I was like, "Well, I haven't officially been tested for it, but all the signs of me having
But I
HIV
have no
are
reason to
not there."
believe.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah, right. I
yeah,
don't do butt pirate stuff and all
yeah.
these
I'm
things, so
not
I don't.
doing heroin through needles, and I haven't
Yeah.
done a blood
So
transfusion and
to
all. Yeah,
to the
I have
best of
no
my
reason
knowledge,
to
no.
believe. Yeah, and that's a
So
fair declaration, right? And that's
yeah,
fair of most things. Where you're like, I mean, I didn't get tested yesterday, but there's a pretty fair thing to assume that the
yeah,
answer is 100% no still, and that's fair.
yeah, yeah, right.
But
But even if you don't get tested because you don't show any of the symptoms, oh well, you could have had it for the
yeah,
last 10 years. But I'm like, still
but
all the things of.
yeah,
But so
but this is
there's a
also
very
why the dentist or medical office or whatever office you go, your tattoo shop and everything else is supposed to sterilize equipment after
Mhm.
every person because there are people that don't know.
Yeah,
And
or
so,
or
in
aren't
order to
truthful.
mitigate that, yeah, or not truthful, to mitigate that, they need to sterilize equipment. But this
Yes.
clinic had sterilization lapses.
Yeah. So that's an issue because yeah, if you go somewhere and you want to get a tattoo and they're like, "Hey, are you HIV positive?" and I say yes, they'll be get the fuck out. And after
Yeah,
about 2 3 times of hearing that, you were just like, "I don't think so." And like you can get away with it because they don't do anything, right? So it's on both parties.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but the fact that this is a sterilization lapse, um, like as we've all been to the dentist, they open up the pack that they've put through the thing, everything's clean. Um, you expect a certain
Well,
level of standard.
yes,
So
apparently they have found 15 lapses in the disinfection and sterilization of reusable instruments.
Right? So I'm not up for waste, but there are certain things I am
Yeah,
perfectly fine with throwing the fuck out and get a new one.
yeah,
This might be one of them.
yeah.
This is
Well,
100% one of them.
and
Actually, I
this
should
is one of the things.
rephrase.
Yeah, it drives me like, yeah, like there's autoclaves. They sterilize things. Absolutely. Do that. Like reuse the things because
Yep.
some of the things are fucking expensive, right?
And even if they're not expensive, they will just make it expensive for you.
But
But I like I hate dentists.
you
I
can't
hate
you
doctors.
can't
I
not
hate
sterilize things, and here we are being told to trust the medical professionals and all of this nonsense.
right?
Yet
But now 884 people need to be
need
like
to
double checked.
get, yeah, all
Like
because like not because somebody made an honest mistake, but because this
because
guy had at least 14 lapses and going, yeah, I'm just not going to
ah,
clean that.
you're good enough. It's
Not going to clean
they
that.
looked mostly clean. It's
Yeah.
not what you want to hear. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, no. I read something and then I saw dates and I was like, oh, maybe. And then I was like, I rethought the math and I was like,
Yeah.
nah, none of that is good. Um, but yeah, so also see the dentist from time to time, but double check your dentist.
Yeah. Make sure you visit good medical professionals, including dentists. Make
Or
sure that they
order
do the
or,
basic
or
things like wear gloves and
yeah,
open things in front of you.
order your own shit on Amazon and bring it to the dentist. Like I don't know where the line is for this, but hey, this is not a reoccurring um article we talk about. Seems like a one off, at least for now, quote unquote. Hopefully it's the only one we see for a very long time. Um, health, going to get blood drawn, going to see a doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in I don't know how many years, just because I hate the process and the uselessness of everything. But I'm I've had some birthdays and I'm looking at numbers and I'm like, I should probably do better with certain things. So I'm hopeful of finding a good physician that can do stuff and like kind of have conversations of just being like, yeah, I agree with you. Let's check on this and check on that or whatever, compared to just the bullshit OHIP answers of right now. And it's just like, if you can read good and you can walk, like, thanks for the $200. I'll see you in 6 months. Um, so yeah,
Eh,
I'm hopeful that people do more digging and this doesn't become a constant issue. But I'm also very hopeful that we don't have more discussions about this
yeah.
on this podcast because I already don't like the dentist. I would hate to have 20 more articles and just be like, I got channel locks. I got a drill. I'll figure out my own cavity.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like, um, so, and also, we'll just say, is it 100% on? So his license is on the line for owning the practice, but if he has delegated that to a certain amount of people, and those people drop the ball, unfortunately, it still falls on him. You're a
Okay.
business owner.
But
You know exactly what I'm
I mean,
talking about. Like,
he's
sh-
resigned, so
yeah,
there's no one to blame now. But now these poor patients
yeah.
of his that trusted a medical professional are stuck.
Hmm.
Um, Speaking of
Yeah,
more people that have trust
shitty.
placed in them that do sweet fuck all, I don't want to get in too much to the details of this because it's gross, because it involved kids and photos of kids being shared when they shouldn't be shared. But I wanted to put this in because, for good measure, fuck the RCMP and their
Yeah,
inability to do anything.
I'm gonna go
Um,
see one in about a week. Let's do it.
you know, and again, it's not necessarily the individual officers that we have issues with. It's like the organization as a whole that's the
Yes.
problem. Like, and it
Yeah,
needs to
yeah.
be, I mean, in my opinion, disbanded because,
Um,
like, I don't think there's any coming back from it. I don't think you can fix it without severely dismantling it to the point where it is almost gone, anyways. But I mean, this is, I think, a symptom of decades, centuries of mismanagement and like protecting their own, which I get, but like doesn't help. Like if there's a shitty officer, you need to point out the shitty
Yeah,
officer. If there's a
but
shitty management person, you point out and they get dealt with rather than like
but but
closing
but also
ranks.
this just the shitty um shit. I had the word um I don't want to say training, but
I mean, yes.
like shitty training, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, oh well,
Yeah.
if you're out here, this is how we do stuff here. So I don't want to say it's quote unquote training, but it's just the mentality of like where you are. Like, I know
Oh,
there's a word for it, and someone please point it out, whether it's on YouTube or fucking weeks from now by sending us an email. But there's just that unspoken um threshold of like it is what it is, right? Out here, this is what we do.
yeah.
And whether that relates to northern, eastern, western, southern, places where RCMP becomes, local police, municipal police, caregivers, and all that stuff. So obviously, there's a lot more on their shoulders compared to living in Toronto, where there might be a lot more assets given to them. So I can quote unquote understand that process, especially because I have family members in that RCMP. Thankfully, so far they haven't been, the starlight of any news articles, but had conversations about shit we've talked about, and I'm like, I'm gonna try and bring this up, in the nicest way without like, pointing it out and having open conversations with someone that is boots on the ground and 100% agrees with what you and me have said, but would never do it, you know, on camera or on record. But also will point out some of the shit we have said on this podcast, which is being like, yeah, no, I disagree with that, and that's the reason. I'm like, probably most of us have never looked at that as an option.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So also, I'll just say I have a giant issue with this article because it's just from the CBC.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately though, like
It's,
they're one of the only people that doesn't paywall their stuff, so we're kind of stuck
yeah, we're
because
we're
and
stuck.
they
We're
don't
stuck
do it.
with not just that RCMP. We're stuck with
Yeah,
that CBC.
yeah, because
Okay.
all of the good privately owned news outlets paywall it. The one that our tax dollars pay is the only one that's free. But the gist of the story here is that there was a very, very young lady, like 12 years old, that had a
Okay.
photo taken of them when they didn't know, and then that photo got circulated, and it's just
Yeah.
now been several years, and no one has been charged.
Yeah. I
Not a
got a
single
solution for
person.
that. I can go get it. It's right on
Now,
my
part
voting
of the
bench, right
problem,
over there.
yeah, is that like it is kids that are perpetrating this heinous act,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that punishments can't be laid out.
Yeah.
Like,
Um.
I mean, maybe we don't throw another 12-year-old into the wood chipper because that's not right. But that doesn't mean that we can't take them out to the woodshed and like beat them with a rubber hose or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah. Beat them to understand the fact that when they turn 13, they should never do something like this because there are
yeah,
consequences. Because the older you get, or whatever, right? So, I mean, this article is a little vague on
yes. And I'm,
some,
yeah,
and some of the stuff I will 100% say in this article I won't say live, which says a lot about what I have said live.
yeah. But
Um,
yeah.
just because age and everything makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. And it should,
yeah,
because that means
yeah,
you have morals and they're not a total degenerate and all of these
no,
things. But yeah, it's disgusting here that like this photo keeps resurfacing and that someone has not been charged and
yeah,
that the
yeah,
RCMP assures the victim in this that the perpetrator has been spoken to and that the photo has been deleted. And so like, okay, maybe the first go around, but then when it happens again, you don't just
Yeah,
do the same. Although I guess I'm reading further here now, and that like so they did apparently charge a youth with this, but the case has been, set to do push back
yeah,
and push back and then this and that and everything else. And it's like, no, there should be none of this. Like the
no.
RCMP and the police in general need to do a better job of things like this.
Yeah, I mean, can we go down like a really dark rabbit hole right now?
I mean, sure.
So, 100% agree with what you said. RCMP, everybody needs to do better,
Yeah.
but also, why don't we talk about um, they, she, he, them, people about how about we don't do better at raising better people?
Yeah, oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, right, because
It all starts
like,
there.
yeah, because this whole article could have been dismissed by
Most
just
of the most of
rating
these articles could be dismissed by just like
by
raising
raising
your kids
better.
properly
Yeah, right. Like
and
I
teaching them
I
right from wrong and to
I have a
like,
daughter.
yeah.
She's turning 14. I'm doing my best to be
Yes.
me and being respectful of what she wants. But I'm like, hey, I I don't need details, but I was like, I want to know what games you're playing, what email you have, and what apps you're using. I try and be as clear as I can with her about I'm not going snooping, but
Yeah.
don't fucking hide anything from me. Because guess what?
Yeah.
If you're on this weird thing and I find something out, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a conversation with you and I'm be like, you and me are gonna sit down and we're gonna go through something, and I might catch something you didn't see. And I'll
Yeah.
be like, I will explain that. But don't fucking hide anything. I am an open book. And
Well,
don't
that's
get me
how it should
wrong,
be.
there are conversations that my daughter and my wife should have where I am not around because I am not a girl. But I try and be as forceful and respectful as possible because I was a kid and no, I didn't want my dad and my mom knowing stuff, but I'm just like I grew up on dial-up. That's not a thing anymore. Where
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm trying to be as respectful as I can for whatever without being the like, well, I'm your dad because I said so, right? Like we're trying to break that habit, that generational thing of everybody has heard, where I'm just like, no, like I want to keep you as safe as possible because I know many things, but I also want to respect the barrier if I'm like, you need your place to complain that, you know, dad
Yeah.
might be a bit of an asshole and extremist from time to time, right?
Yes.
And you should have that place to do that. But
Yeah. Raise
like
your kids,
so, yeah, yeah.
but
Like
also when the
most,
kids do misbehave,
yeah, 100% nail them to the fucking wall.
yeah,
No ends
that's
if
the
or
only
buts.
way they're gonna
No,
learn.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well,
Leather belt. Get
yeah.
studs on that leather belt.
If
Fucking
if
beat
if
the
the
fuck out of
crime
them.
warrants the punishment and something like
Yeah.
this should absolutely 100%, but other things
Yeah.
that should be punished.
Mm.
Ontario runs $8 million tab storing U.S. alcohol as province's plan for stockpile still uncertain.
How much you want to bet they would have made more bank selling that fucking
Well, this
bitch?
whole thing isn't so 16 months now after Ontario pulled
Okay.
nearly $80 million worth of alcohol from the LCBO.
Okay, so I also have a giant issue that the only thing they advertise in that thing is JD. I love the history of JD, despise HD or JD. Like I do not like it.
Yeah,
Love the history behind JD. Can't stand it. But I'm like, hey, there's a bunch of alcohol I want. That's not JD. And I was like,
yeah,
why didn't you put a bunch of like different stuff that would like Tito's, Tito's vodka? Not
Well,
available.
they have to pick. It's the
Texas.
same reason that the news article still uses that same picture of the guy in the t-shirt holding the AR for all of their gun articles. Never
Oh,
switches it. But so 16 months
yep,
it's been, and $80 million worth of American alcohol was pulled from the shelves.
yep.
They still don't know what they're going to do with it.
No. So did Ontario
So
pay that 80 million?
yes, they must have. Like they can't like they bought it with the intention to sell it. So I guess it depends on whether that $80 million is their cost or the retail price of it. I imagine that's the retail price.
I
So their
Yeah,
cost
because
would
it would
be,
inflate
yeah.
68 million.
So I mean, I don't know. I would say that the retail on that is probably like marked up double. So like it's probably 40 million cost,
Okay.
I would guess.
Yeah,
Either
I
way,
mean,
like too much money, but like so
yeah,
we paid that already. And apparently, the majority of that product, roughly 97%, remains in good condition and is within its normal shelf life. Although it now has 16 months of its shelf life removed. Some things like, hard alcohol last for forever, so a non-issue.
yeah.
But
So
other
guess what?
things
That
don't.
Jack Daniels may taste better than like a
Yeah.
fresh batch they just
But
received.
apparently,
Maybe not wine.
yeah. So wine might still be within its shelf life at 16 months. But if this
Yeah,
goes to 20 months, 28 months, 37 months, then that starts to become more and more of a problem, and more of it is going to go bad and become unsellable. But
which still becomes your tax
taxpayers
problem.
taxpayers have spent 8 million storing this inventory.
Ah,
So
10%. We have,
for
instead
now,
of
but
that revenue, so far we have spent 10% on shit we can't even get.
yeah, so we've already paid for it and paid the whatever the cost of the $80 million
Yeah,
is,
yeah, whatever, whatever.
and
We
then
have paid
paid
10%
another
of that.
8 million on top of that to store it.
And we
And
have
now
not been able to
apparently
consume a drop of it.
$2.6 million worth of the 80 million has expired.
Okay, so now we're at a
We'll call it,
12.2%.
77
50.
million is still recoverable. But now we got
Yeah.
to put the 8 million on top of that to get that back. And so we're going to have to continue to pay storage fees on this until we do something with this.
Yeah, which, I mean, fine. You want to tariff and tax the fuck out of it.
Well, but
Um,
this is the like,
as much as I have issues with government telling me how much I need to pay for something, if there's a product somewhere that I want, and you were like, hey, you should buy local, but local doesn't have something I want,
yeah,
I should have the option of purchasing what I want. We can have a discussion about what is fair, you know, upmarket value, right? I always have 40 Creek in my house. Niagara, it's whiskey, it's Canadian, right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. But let's just say I like JD and I want to support JD. If I am willing to pay double the price of what 40 Creek is to have JD in my house, that should be me to decide, not you.
Well, yeah. But
Which I
like
don't like
the
JD.
crazy
So,
thing about all of this is like, okay, say I agree with punishing US manufacturers because, Orange
well,
Man bad,
then
right?
you're a communist and you
Yeah,
should not be on this
but
podcast.
let's go through the mental exercise, right? I believe that, and I believe that that is the right thing to do. We have already bought the alcohol,
Yeah.
right? It's like
So
all
let
of the people like when there was the Nike thing and like kneeling and all of that, and they burned all of their Nike stuff.
I
You've
don't even know
already
what you're talking about. Sure.
to kneel for the flag and the whole BLM thing and everything. It was a big thing. And then like Yeti coolers and the NRA and like so there was a bunch of companies that like over the last few years have had some backlash
Yeah.
on some things, and people are like setting their Nike stuff on fire and like trashing their $500 Yeti coolers. And it's like, but you've already spent the money on it.
Yeah.
You are not hurting Nike
Yeah.
or Yeti or US alcohol manufacturers by destroying or not selling things that you have already paid for.
Yeah. You would be better off
Don't
going
buy
to
more.
yeah, yeah, you would be better off going to Foot Locker and burning all the Nike shoes
Yeah,
compared to buying
like
burning the
the
shoes you have already
LCBO has
purchased.
already paid for the alcohol that is on the shelves, or like if they haven't, it's on like credit, but like they will have to pay it. They can't
Yeah, at
not
some
pay
point.
it.
Yeah. And I would
So
not blame US whatever company to pay fair market value of what it is
yeah,
worth now
so
compared to when they shipped it to Canada. Like let's just say, right, 25% cheaper than what it is now. As much as I disagree with anything with government,
well, yeah,
you did not sell it at that price.
yeah,
Now you need to pay the bill for
this
it.
but
This
this is
is
where
the
like
market value.
okay, we're angry at Orange Man, so we want to do something. Okay, well, when we run
Sure,
out of whatever US alcohol is at the LCBO, we just
we're not
won't
ordering
buy
more.
more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so like
If
it's a
if it's already
delayed
here,
punishment,
yep.
but
But at least we didn't
it will
lose.
we're not out the money like and the fact now that like it's costing us money to store it and now there's product that's going bad. I guess at least that like the longer we keep it, the storage costs go down because more and more of the product will go bad.
That's so less and less
But
shelf
like
space or
but then
storage space or
we've still had to
whatever.
pay for all of this stuff
Yeah,
and all it's done is hurt us and it hasn't helped us.
yeah, and
And like realistically, all of this is a drop in the fucking bucket compared to like the US market.
yeah,
So
and
that it's
and
not even punishing Jack Daniels because they sell billions of dollars around the world.
right, right, and I mean, we'll go crazy here, where I will say, fine, LCBO wants to put a premium on these.
Sure, if they want to do that for
Yeah,
new stuff coming in.
no, no, but let's just say the shit that's sitting there, fine, sell it at instead of regular markup, sell it at 125% markup. If you really want the product they're selling, I will purchase it, right? Like that, leave it to the consumer. If I really like Tito's, JD, my brandy that I haven't been able to have since this because they took it all off at the shelves. If doesn't matter if I used to pay 20, 30, 40, 50, $60 a bottle, if that exact same $60 bottle is now 80, let me decide if I want to spend
Yeah,
80 or not because I enjoyed the product. There's a reason I
yeah,
haven't bought brandy because Canada makes shit brandy
yeah,
or other countries. I don't care. The brandy I liked came from the US.
yeah,
It it wasn't a fancy bottle. Fine, there's still $100 bottle of brandy, but it didn't
yeah.
taste good to me. So I enjoyed my $42 bottle of brandy that came from the US. Allow me to decide if I want to spend 55 instead of 42 now. And when it's off the shelf, it's off the shelf. But I have a giant issue with $8 million worth of product that I could purchase because I choose to support it due to flavor, all the things you'll relate to alcohol.
Yeah.
This should not be so let's just say you don't drink alcohol. Okay. Well, your tax dollars are going towards $8 million worth of product
Yes.
and
That's
how
not
much
even
storage.
recouping that money, right? Like it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
So now you're just all your, you know, let's say a cent of every dollar you spend, or 1% of everything you spend, goes towards this. If you are not a
yeah,
supporter of alcohol, you should be in a fucking uproar because
yeah.
that's stupid.
Oh, 100%.
I'm willing to spend 10% more. That person that is not willing to spend 0.1% more, you should listen to me way more than them. Let me buy my shit. I will buy as much as possible, and I will stockpile it, and I will use it for special occasions. But it frees up all that
Well,
space, that you can put, your Canadian stuff. Like, Canada doesn't make good brandy. End of conversation. The
yeah,
countries we still order from doesn't make the brandy I at least find good. So allow
no,
me to
that's
buy what
fair.
I want.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very least, yes, sell what we have already
Yeah,
purchased and then maybe never order it again or put a premium on it, but at least sell what we've got.
yeah.
But
It's
more
an online
stupidness.
only. It's
Yeah.
an online only thing, and it may take 8 weeks to deliver. I'm good
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, more stupid things.
Yeah.
Canada has lost millions of hectares of farmland. Where is it all going? Federal food security strategy running up against high land costs, fewer young farmers. So, I mean, they're pointing a lot of fingers here, and like, yes, as cities grow, rural land gets taken away and all of that. But
Yes.
part of the problem that they're not talking about in here is that things like the rail line that they want to have that goes from Ottawa to Toronto.
Ottawa
Where
to Montreal as well.
where does that cut through?
Oh, well, let's not talk about that. We should just do it.
Right? Like, yes, we are losing it, and a lot of it is like, sure, it's becoming not profitable to run a farm
Yeah.
because like your expenses are going up and all of the things, and it becomes more and more difficult, and nobody wants to do it because it's not profitable. And buying land to do it is more and more insanely expensive, and it's sort of a thankless job.
So, so what you're
But
saying is we should probably fix that issue before we talk about anything above this. Like,
pretty much,
i-
yeah.
if we don't have
But
people growing
yeah,
potatoes, lettuce,
yeah,
spinach, asparagus, onions, everything you put in your fucking fridge,
yeah.
if people don't grow it, it comes from somewhere. And the further away it gets from us, the more cost it's gonna cost. Right? Like,
Oh, exactly, right?
and
But this is the thing is that like so we have all of these other problems here with all of this like land becoming too expensive and this and that and everything. But then if we know this is a problem, we admit to it federally, why the fuck are they pushing this fucking rail line that is going to cut right through rural Ontario and remove not just potential farm property, active farm property. So we are not just hindering growth, we are actively fighting against it and removing it. Like it's crazy. Like
yeah, and
this government is driving me insane because they will admit to a problem, but then go and do something that makes the problem fucking worse.
worse. Yeah. We'll admit to this, but also
Yeah.
we're gonna screw it up way more. But we have a solution. But
Yes.
it's also gonna take how much farmland away and all that. And I'm
Yeah.
just like I'm
And
no
make everything
engineer.
50% more expensive.
Yeah.
And
And I'm no engineer, and I don't know how that high speed stuff works, but I'm like, excuse me,
yeah.
between Ottawa and Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal, we already have Via Rail that goes that way.
Yeah.
So we already have something that goes between point A and point B, and then, sorry, we have a point for, let's use Ottawa as point A. We got A to B1, which is Toronto, and then A and B2 is in Montreal. So why can't we just figure out how to not take a bunch of farmland and make a track right next to the track that is already there and figure it out? Let's make it fair. Let's make sure it's good for the economy. Let's make sure people can still grow. Right, my cucumbers don't go up, an extra $20 at the grocery store because there's a high speed trail between the two. But like, you can't tell me that a regular train and this crazy high speed train can't be quote unquote fairly close in proximity. I'm not an engineer, but come on down next week and tell me how I'm wrong. Like, there should be a thing that we can keep them fairly close and not fuck up all the farmland. Because I've been on a train and 90% of it is forest. So, I mean, we're going to affect deer, squirrels, depending where you are, fucking meat, squirrels, rabbit, all the things, measles, not measles, ferrets, or whatever the fuck wild ferrets are. But you're going to affect that, but probably way more than taking 80% of my food value away. Which, move the deer closer to where I hunt, I'm down because I'm going to put shit in the freezer for the next 2 years.
Well, we'll see how it all goes, but yeah, they're complaining about it, yet they're doing things to actively fuck it up and make it worse. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that all goes. But that's everything that I've got for today. So, Pierre, when you're not doing the show, where can people find you?
You can find me cooking food at a restaurant, which you got to figure out the restaurant on your own. Or the other CPP, unless I'm not intoxicated and read the date wrong. Canadian Prepper podcast. Switching the schedule a little bit, but that's Sunday nights, or Saturdays if they decide to just fuck everything up.
Yeah, well,
On
the audience
I mean,
gets what the audience demands.
yeah, they were all there. I get it. I literally saw the message and I was like, oh, cool, cool. And then like I read it on Sunday and I was just like, oh, I read that completely wrong. I was like, all right, we're good. Like, yeah, no, I was like, oh, tonight, not tomorrow night. And I was like, okay. Um, yeah, you can find me here, the other CPP, Canadian Prepper podcast, or wherever the fuck my wife has socialist medias, off the wall customizing, manifest and sip, which is there's a bunch of gay sparkly stuff behind me, and I'm sure there's like three other things I don't know about.
Well, you've done at least a good job of getting most of it out there. I'm sure she'll be happy, and you will get to sleep in the bed tonight and not the couch.
I will be there. Worst comes to worst, she's sleeping on the couch because she's mad. I will go to bed and just be like, yeah, I don't care.
Well, there you
Which
go.
starts half the arguments.
You can find me for the most part on Instagram, UrbexGTA. With that, apologies to Rod. Rod wasn't up on his farm use policies for Ontario, so that's why he wasn't on today. It's totally different out in BC because you can literally eat the scenery out there. You can't do that here. You got to work hard and farm that land to get anything edible. But I would also like to remind everybody that you are a small fringe minority with